For a lot of the pre-draft process, Tyler Warren was seen as the #1 tight end in the 2025 NFL Draft. Then draft night rolled around, and Colston Loveland was the top tight end selection at number 10 overall to the Chicago Bears. We got Dalton Wasserman here to break it all down. Dalton, even though it surprised a lot of people that Colston Loveland was tight end 1 in the draft, you used to think this is a really good fit for Chicago.
Yeah, I think that's the word there is fit, right? And Ben Johnson felt like what he needed was what he's getting from Colston Loveland, and that's a versatile receiver who can help him in multiple tight end sets. So we're going to go over real quick why the Bears just needed a tight end so badly, first of all, and why either one of these guys would have been a good fit for him, and then why they went with Loveland, right? So if we look at just the Bears' offensive ranks last season in 2025, the third worst receiving grade from their tight ends, the second lowest threat percentage. It kind of tells the story of, okay, their tight ends weren't very good, so they weren't throwing them the ball very often.
So threat percentage, for anyone who doesn't know, is how often you're targeted, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. For the number of routes that you run, how often you're targeted, the Bears essentially threw to their tight ends the second least of any team in football, right? So they didn't even feel the confidence to throw to their tight ends. Throw in some other things here. Why? Because they were second, actually tied for last in yards per route run. So even when they did get the football, they weren't efficient in picking up yardage. When they lined up in line, attached to the line of scrimmage, dead last in receiving grade. Now, this isn't just tight ends. This is slot receiving grade as a team. So you could get their second round pick, Luther Burden, helping with this as well. 29th in the league in slot receiving grade as a team, whether that's DJ Moore, Roma Dunze last year, Keenan Allen played a big part in that, so they struggled in the slot where Loveland can play so well, and we'll go over that in a minute. And then down here is another one I think that's very important for Ben Johnson, the worst offensive grade in the league. In 12 personnel, that's 1 back and 2 tight ends on the field. And we know Ben Johnson likes his tight ends, just like Dan Campbell did in Detroit. And he likes to have multiple guys out there to have those packages where he can run it, he can throw it out of running sets with multiple tight ends on the field. Now, we go over to Colston Loveland and compare a lot of these same numbers, right? They tell the story. Over the last two college seasons, the 4th best receiving grade in college football on a Michigan team that doesn't throw the ball very much. They're really centered around the power run game. Now, their passing game, he was the center of it. The second highest threat percentage of any tight end in the country, only behind Harold Fannin Jr., who, of course, got all the targets at Bowling Green. So you look at that. He's used to being really good. He's used to being the centerpiece of a passing game, right? Now you go down here, you go, okay, 4th in yards per route run. That matches up with the grading. And it's the versatility with Loveland that gives you that feel that, okay, the Bears, they're going to be in 12 personnel. You're going to see a lot of Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland on the field together. But the fact that Loveland can win from multiple spots, in line, 8th best receiving grade in the country over the last 2 years. In the slot, 2nd best receiving grade among tight ends in college football over the last 2 seasons. And he can even do, we're going to show a little bit of work he can do out wide, even as an X-type receiver as well. So, yes, Loveland is a tight end, but he's a do-it-all weapon that Ben Johnson feels like he can do anything with in any formation.
So we're going to compare Colston Loveland to what the Bears had last year. Of course, Ben Johnson was not with the Bears last year. So let's actually compare Colston Loveland to his tight end he did have when he was the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions in Sam Laporta. You see some similarities between the two of them there.
Absolutely, especially the usage that you're going to see from Loveland and that we saw from Laporta in Detroit. So let's start out with Loveland here at Michigan. And again, I want to point out the 12 personnel part of this. And there's actually a 6 offensive linemen and 2 tight ends here out here for Michigan. But Michigan used 12 personnel, the 3rd most of any team in the country over the last 2 years. So you think about most teams in college football now, they're high flying, it's air raid, they're throwing for 6,000 yards a year, right? Not Michigan. They're old school. They get tight ends on the field. They know what they're doing both in the run game and the pass game. And so what we get here, first and foremost, so you see it, Loveland's right in here attached to the line of scrimmage, right? 3 tight ends. This is 2nd and 5. Very simple. Look, the opponent, we got 9 in the box here. Everyone and their mother thinks Michigan is running the football, right? And understandably so. That's what they do. Alex Orji, I believe that's either that's Davis Warren. They're at quarterback. Either way, they're generally running the football, especially out of this formation. Except when you have a guy like Colston Loveland, you can mix it up a little bit. So all you're going to get here, some soft play action. The back's going to leak out. Going to get play action coming back here. Got to run off deep. And all we're trying to do, this entire thing, I mentioned the 29% threat percentage. This is a part of it. Get up in between the second level. Get a deep out going. And this is just designed to get right in this space. Right here. That's all we're trying to do is set up Colston Loveland, 2nd and 5, 2-way down here. We can run it or throw it. Michigan decides to throw it here. Go to the next play. You can see this is right at the mesh point of the play action, right? And you can already see this setting up. Look at all the linebackers stepping up, stepping up, stepping up, and you have all this space for Loveland to work with, isolated on a free safety. It's that simple, right? So even in bigger formations, when there's that many guys in the box, things get simplified. We get here, easy, 15-yard pitch and catch, first down, right? Let's go to the Lions. Here we go, Sam Laporta. Let's find him right here. He's attached, same way to the line of scrimmage. Now, I want to point out, now we're in the shotgun, but we're still in 12 personnel. We've got 2 tight ends on the field. Here's my second one right here, right? So 2 tight ends, 2 receivers, 1 back. It doesn't always just have to be power and I formation and old school things from the 80s, right? Sometimes you can still get in the shotgun and have 2 tight ends. 2nd and 5. We're a little deeper in the red zone, but same thing. 2nd and 5, and we've got a 2-way go here because we're talking about, okay, we can do anything. We know the Lions have the best offensive line in football. We know the offensive line the Bears are building. So here's what's going to happen here. We're going to go play action from the gun. There goes Jahmyr Gibbs. This backside tight end's going to run a little slant right in here. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the best receiver on the Lions, is actually going to get used in pass protection here to seal this off because Goff is going to roll out. We're going to run a bootleg here, okay? Here's what's going to happen. Out here, you've got this receiver. He's going to run a little flat, and we've got a high-low going. Laporta's going to get to the corner and get to the end zone. Right now, what Goff sees here, the big thing we want to notice is man-to-man coverage. This is going to be my free safety right back here. Man here on the outside. We're kind of doing a check on St. Brown there, and we've got a linebacker right in here, one-on-one with Sam Laporta. That's a mismatch, right, on this corner. So we go to the next slide. We see a linebacker here. Anybody at linebacker wearing number 39 is going to have a problem covering Sam Laporta, and they're probably going to have a problem covering Colston Loveland. So here we go. You can see it already. Got off the line, got a step. Back corner, free access. Here's the little flat to the sideline here. All Goff is doing is reading high to low. 1, 2. Whichever one the space shows in, that's where he's going. Laporta's leaving that linebacker. We're gone. Touchdown. There's just no chance that a linebacker from an inline alignment. And that's what happens is that when you have 2 tight ends on the field, even in the shotgun, Texans are in their base defense here. They've got 3 linebackers on the field. That's all that's left unless they're committing a safety to it. And with St. Brown staying in, then it throws off the whole assignment. They can't pass things off.
So before we wrap up here, Dalton, I wanted to ask you, compare him to Tyler Warren. What does Colston Loveland bring to this offense that Tyler Warren doesn't, and why was he the more right pick for Chicago than Tyler Warren?
He's just a little more of a fluid route runner. Like, I think about Warren in the same sense that we talk about George Kittle when you think about, okay, as that 2-way threat, as a blocker, he's going to be the guy in line that's the better, more aggressive blocker. He makes plays happen after the catch, more so closer to the line of scrimmage. Loveland, I would say, is actually getting better. He's better, I should say, at Warren than getting vertical like this, and he's a little more fluid route runner. You think about him in the style of a Travis Kelce. Watching his tape, I thought about him a lot like T.J. Hawkinson, where he can line up anywhere, and he's just a darn good route runner. So it's not that either one of them's talent is more or less than the other. It's just that they're a little bit different, and Loveland gives you this level of verticality and physicality still and fluidity in his route running that makes you that allows you to line him up from any formation.
Well, we already broke down why Tyler Warren is a perfect fit for Shane Steichen's offense in Indianapolis. So go check out that video if you haven't checked it out already. Colston Loveland also a perfect fit for the Chicago offense, and also you give Caleb Williams, Colston Loveland, you give him Luther Burden III, you give him that offensive line, you give him all the weapons he already had there already, and you give him Ben Johnson. It is now go time for Caleb Williams, the #1 overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. Chicago now building an incredible offense. Now Colston Loveland, a top 10 pick for the Chicago Bears.